Uh, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Good morning. I'm eating grapes. I'm supposed to go running, and I've been stalling. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go running. So forgive me for eating the grapes in the beginning. But if you check out the title, "The Interesting Journey of Manhood," so while I was doing my sit-ups, I was listening to Ray Lewis. What's up, Wayman? I was listening to Ray Lewis on a cigar aficionado thing. And he was talking about the story about his granddad and cigars and how he got into them. And I looked at a story, little Michael Jordan story. Justin, what's happening? Mr. Edmore, what's happening? And I started, just seeing more and more men, and I was just thinking about some things, and it inspired me in this way to think about the journey to manhood. That's hilarious. Because I can only speak on my experience, but what's funny is when you're a boy, they teach you, we're going to teach you how to be a man. And everybody who wants to teach you how to be a man when you're a boy, what's up, Genuine? What's up, G? So everybody who wants to teach you how to be a man, what's up, Bishop? When you're a boy, the people who want to teach you how to be a man are not men. They give you what they think a man is, right? So your mom will tell you what a man's supposed to be. You might have a big brother. Your big brother, we're going to be, this is how a man's supposed to be. Your daddy ain't going to say nothing really. Your uncles ain't going to say nothing. They just going to sit there and watch it. Your sisters might tell you, what a man's supposed to be, right? And even when you get to a certain age, teenagers or whatever, you're in school, your classmates tell you what a man is and a man's supposed to be. And the last person to tell you what a man is supposed to be is a grown man. So for me, part of that journey is hilarious because everybody's giving you the idea of what manhood is that is not a man. And you never take into consideration that the men are just sitting there watching like, you going to listen to that? They're going to tell you, let me tell you what a man is. And the other thing was about somebody, they put up, Just BU put up a clip of 50 Cent clowning about Father's Day and Mother's Day, right? So, and I was watching that movie with Chris Rock and Adam Sandler last night on Netflix. I don't forgot the name. But the journey is hilarious because I remember, I remember the men would teach you manhoods in small increments. But everybody else would try to just beat into you what a man is. And nobody took into consideration the men teach you manhood in small increments because you can't handle it all at once. You ain't built for it yet. You ain't built for it mentally, physically, or emotionally. Because you're a kid. What's up, Curtis? They teach you little nuggets here and there. But everybody else tells you, yo, let me tell you, a real man gonna do this. And for me, part of the journey that had me cracking up along the way is everybody who wasn't a man confused the hell out of me about what a man was. So now I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut, like a chicken with his head cut off. Like, this is a man. I'm gonna be a man. And men are looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And you have that little kid face. I'm a man. You can't tell me nothing. I'm a man. And the grown man looking at you like, let me tell you something. Grown men don't walk around here talking about, I'm a man. You gonna listen to me because I'm a man. What's up, Deidre? DJ Moss, what's happening? Miss Jazzy, what's going on? Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. So it cracked me up because there's a lot of moments of truth on that journey that make Canada what's happening. There's a lot of moments of truth on that journey that makes it fun. Dan said that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Glad you're here. James, what's up? So I remember personally, like, you know, you can't get the childhood thing about, you know, I used to get sick and hurt, but I had to go to school. And nobody understood, you know, some of my friends, oh man, if you're sick, you gotta sit out. If you get hurt, you know, you can't play sports. If you're injured, yeah, if you hurt, no. And the thing about that was, Tyson, man, don't you do that no more. What's good with you, man? Hope all is well. Don't you do that no more. You hear me, player? uh, and you know, my friends be like, man, we can stop. And I remember the men like, you sick, so, or you hurt, so, you know what I'm saying? You know, I remember I was listening to Zab Judah talk about his dad, because when Zab Judah fought Mickey Ward, he said he went to the corner in the middle of the ring. Bless up to you too, fam. Like, he went to the corner. He said Mickey Ward hit him with a body shot. And he went to the corner. He was like, I can't breathe. I want to quit. I think he broke my ribs. And he said, my dad's like an ultra alpha male. And he's like, man, forget them ribs. You better go break his face. Now that's a man moment right there. Like, a man's gonna tell you something like, hey, what? You bleeding to death? What? Oh, you bleeding to death? You like, hey, boy, if you don't put some ice on that blood and get your ass up, what's wrong with you? You ain't dead until you're dead. I don't care that you're bleeding to death. If you're dead, you're not dead yet. So put something on that and let's go. And it's funny because when we think, you know, we're men know we're not men yet. So when they really test us, we hate, you know, I remember being young and you hated men for testing your manhood because you didn't have no manhood. You was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Right. I feel you on that, Al. So the journey is hilarious because the journey to manhood teaches you that you got to keep going, you know, regardless of the situation. Is that your day? Right. So this is how, you know, people swear to God, you know, you need a man in your life. And we forget because your mama told you what a man is, your brother told you what a man is, your cousins told you what a man is, your classmates told you what a man is. When a man start molding you to be a man, you hate his guts for that. You hate his guts for that. Like, when a man say, okay, do this. Man, I ain't listening to you. You ain't no man. My mama told me I'm a man and I ain't got to listen to you. You're like, your mama told you. Okay. Fake it till you make it. That's hilarious. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, like the things that guys do is different. You know, when they say you teach men are not taught to cry. That's the journey. That's on the journey. You're not gonna cry unless it's something worth crying about. You know, and as a, you know, when I became a man, it was funny because when I would see my son cry, shut up! What's wrong with you? Crying for? My ice cream fell. Get you another ice cream. Smack that ice cream. Bah! 2 ice creams fell. Shut up. You know, oh my God, he is evil. Like, no, I'm not evil. You got to learn it's something to cry about and it's something not to cry about. But it's along the journey. Like, I remember one of the lessons is, you know, hard work, dedication, and putting your all in something is going to get you further than half-ass doing it. But hard work and dedication might not get you everything you want. It just might not be your time, even though you put in all the work. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might have worked harder than you. Somebody just might have took the moment, seized the moment better than you. And somebody might have cheated to get ahead. You never know. But I never forget this because I remember guys teaching young men to play dirty to win, right? If you got to win, you got to fight dirty to win. Now the irony of this was, you know what I'm saying? Is it you understand it now? Good. You know, the irony of it was I remember playing. I was playing football. I think it was my sophomore year in high school, and I wound up having to play quarterback. You know, that my sophomore year because 4 of us was supposed to go to sophomore year. We was all supposed to play varsity, so it was me and 3 other guys. The quarterback went to varsity. One other running back, safety went to varsity. The other running back went to varsity. Then I was supposed to go to varsity. I was like, you're too small. You can play, but you're too small. So one of the running backs came back down. So I wanted to be the quarterback that year. So we was on this comeback at the end of the game, right? What's up, Michael? And it was a sweep right for a first down. What up? And it was a muddy game, and I got hit out of bounds and I slid. And when I was getting up, I'm completely out of bounds. When I'm getting up, this guy hit me in the back. He just speared me right in my back. Truthfully, he speared me in the liver. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know it at the time. And I got up, but I couldn't really move and I couldn't really walk properly. And I was just hurting. But the thing about it was my team needed me at the time. So, and the reason they made me a quarterback because it was like, you the best leader we got. So I got up, finished the game. We lost the game ultimately. But that was like the third quarter. So I played from the third quarter, maybe the middle of the third quarter to the end of the game, and my back and my liver was swollen. You know, you can't tell that your liver's swollen, but the whole left side, you know, no, I'm saying right left side, I'm bugging. The whole right side, because his liver's on the right side. The whole right side was swollen, right? On the back, and from the back kidney and all that. And I couldn't walk, right? I just couldn't, but I could run. I couldn't walk properly. I had a bad limp because he hit me with the helmet. But when the play started, I didn't feel nothing. And the lesson in that was, you know, you can put your pain aside to get a job done. And a lot of times a lot of people who are on the journey to manhood, they got to have that moment where you're going to have to tell your body to shut up sometimes. You're going to have to tell your feelings to shut up sometimes, your emotions to shut up sometimes. You're going to have to tell your heart to shut up sometimes. You know, and you're just going to have to get at it. You're going to have to just get at it because it's like, hey, if I'm all in, I'm all in, you know, win, lose, or draw, you know, hurt or 100%. I'm all in. And it is what it is. I had to figure out a way to win or figure out a way to make it or figure out, you know, just figure out a way. And this was tight. What's happening? My bad, man. What's popping? And what wound up happening was, and that was what? Because I really started high school at 13. So I was 14 when that happened. Because I played actually my varsity football in high school. I was 15 and 16 when I played varsity football. So I remember vividly how at the end of the day, I had to walk home at night and I couldn't walk. So it was like 13 blocks away from the school. Well, I had to walk, but you know what I'm saying? I just was walking terribly. And that was my moment of realizing that, you know what? To be a man, you're gonna have to deal with pain that other people ain't willing to deal with. You're gonna have to walk through things that other people ain't willing to walk through. What up, young Jay? You know? No. I never gave up. Oh, so you gave up giving up to be a success? Yeah. Thanks for saying that properly for me, Bishop. You have to do that. And that happens in life. And I also remember in that journey, that when I remember it was a track meet. A few months later, it was a track meet, indoor track meet. Bucket, what's happening? And this is how I knew something was up. We're running against York. York is white dudes, white sprinters, fast. We're in a 4x2 indoor track, so 4x200 meter relay. I've never liked running ankle. I always like running second leg. Anybody who ever ran track understands in the 4x1, the second leg is the longest leg, and in the 2 and the 4, normally the second leg is one of the most important legs. The reason why it's one of the most important legs in track is because you either build your lead or catch the people who got out on you. You know what I'm saying? So you benefit if your second leg's a killer. It ultimately you in a race. You know what I'm saying? Because the first leg gets out, the second leg is the one that people go woo, because they see now you can see the distance being made between the third and the ankle. Anyway, interesting journey was early on in another race, I knocked down one of York's sprinters, and I forgot which relay it was. It might have been a 4x2, and I wound up doing a 4x4 at the end because you know what I'm saying. I'm out of pocket right now on my memory, but I knocked one of them down in the earlier relay. So coming on one of the curves, they knocked me down. Bow. But I wasn't thinking anything because Byron, what's going on? I wasn't thinking anything because I didn't knock the guy down purposely. You know what I'm saying? We just got caught. So he knocks me down. I just roll, get up, and at this point, we went from like first to fourth. So fourth to fifth, and I came back and I got us in second at the end of that leg. Man, I got on the bus. My coach got on the bus. He was so fired up after the track meet. He was like, "Yo, you third leg's the best." Keenan, what's happening? Oh man, I'm glad you're from the Bahamas. Third leg is the best in the 4x1 because that shit the shortest. Third leg in the 4x1, like what, 80 meters? What is it, like what, 80, 70, 75, 80 meters? People don't realize that. Didn't get in shape. Hey, big poke dog, that's all right. You guys got in shape though. Because Keenan know that third leg is so damn short. Especially if you got somebody that's flying on that second leg. Because you're gonna get an extra, you're gonna get an extra get off on it, because he gonna catch you by the end of the stagger. So then you just hilarious though. So what's happening? Anyway, getting back to what makes it, the interesting journey. People forget to tell you certain things. You ain't no good kid. But people forget to tell you things. My bad, big poke dog. They forget to tell you their lessons. The journey of manhood ain't necessarily, you've been taught all the lessons verbally when you were young. You just don't realize your principles gotta weigh in. And what I mean by that is, say when I was a kid, when people talk about being in poor environments, right? And the pressure of being in poverty, this is where your moral compass kicks in. This is where your manhood starts to kick in the journey. You're like, can you have delayed gratification? If you really poor and then you in the hood, can you stay poor, and work your way out of the hood, right? Or poverty, and go through that? Can you put that aside and go on a journey that is a long journey that you know ain't gonna be easy. You're not gonna eat every night because you don't eat every night anyways. You might not sleep every night because you don't sleep every night anyways. You know, you see your friends and family and classmates and people in your age group doing a whole lot better than you. And you got older men, when you really are on the edge, you're like, man, I want to get something now. And the old men say, hey, hold off on that. Hold off on that. Carl, what's happening? Because people say, you know, I want to be cool. I want to be the man. And this is when I was a teenager, the interesting part of the journey was a lot of us wanted to be the man when we wasn't men yet. We wanted to be the man when we wasn't men yet. Because we wanted to feel important. And the men around us was like, you wasting your time trying to be the man around these kids. You don't need to be a man around these kids. You don't need to be a big fish in a little pond. And at the time, a lot of us didn't realize we weren't grown men yet because we were looking for validation. We were looking for attention. We were looking for fame, right? And the journey about that was, you don't need to be famous. You could be famous for what you do, but you need to be famous for the work you put in. And see, that was the part of the journey that everybody want to shine, but don't nobody want to grind. And I remember running into young men, kids, teenagers, who everybody wanted to be something great. But the difference was everybody didn't want to work to be great. And I remember the older men used to tell me stuff like, let me tell you this, young blood. Nah. They used to say things like, somebody could be more talented than you, but if you outwork them, you could be better than them. And I remember how when I was younger, people was on that I got God-given ability and God-given talent stuff, and how quickly that changed, because if your work ethic was superb, all of a sudden that God-given ability that somebody had, it wasn't good enough to save them. The interesting journey of manhood was you got to earn being great. People act like they're born great. No, you're not. You earn being great. Some of us hit the genetic lottery in our lives, right? And I don't just mean physically, I mean mentally. But some of us made our own luck because we worked to win that lottery. I thought about things like, when it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, basically worked his way into being a bodybuilder. There's a certain amount of genetics that goes into bodybuilders, but there are some people who just work their ass off to get somewhere. 2 a day, all right. I like that. You see, you coming out of quarantine on steroids. Right, even Jordan had to practice, but people forget. Right, even Neil deGrasse had to study. And people forget Jordan practiced 3 times a day. Everybody just saw Jordan on the floor. Jordan was the person who made people do off-season workouts. He was ahead of his time. But that's part of the journey to manhood, like the pain you're going to have to deal with. Because part of the journey of manhood is dealing with disappointment, dealing with heartbreak, dealing with heartache, and being able to press on. Like, when you're a kid at a certain point, you don't understand death, the finality of it. But I say once you get into preteen and somebody significant dies in your life, now you understand the significance of heartbreak and death and disappointment. But more so, you understand the obligation. Because now this is how people pull at your heartstrings, because it's like, man, would they want you to do that? Won't you, if you love them so much, won't you dedicate what you're doing to them. Why don't you do it with them on your mind and them on your heart? And making yourself better than what you are to pay homage to somebody who is no longer here is part of the journey to manhood. Because sometimes, some people don't reach that because some people have healthy lives and they don't have tragedies, and people don't die for a long time, so they don't know what that's like. And then sometimes people have so much so early, or so much disappointment and heartbreak and loss, that they get down in despair and they don't know how to get out. And this is one of the crazy parts. It's great when that happens when you're a young man, because if you could dig yourself out of a hole of sadness or depression or disappointment or heartbreak, it means the world to you, because sometimes you think life is over. And that's part of the journey where you always think life is over. Like, damn, this happened to me, it's over. I ain't gonna be able to bounce back from this. And it's a lie. You learn that you can bounce back from anything. Life can knock you down a million times, and you can get up. If you're not dead, you can get up 1,000,001 times. Sometimes you get up quick. Sometimes it might take a minute, but you're gonna get up. And along that journey, you don't know how many times your resilience gets strong. Sometimes people think these guys work on their bodies getting strong, just so they can be physically more dominating and domineering, but that's not the case. What it is you build up your body as a symbol of your mental strength and your internal intestinal fortitude, your resilience, because you're gonna have to get knocked down 1,000,000 times to get to where you need to go. And that's what's interesting about the journey, because like I said earlier, like people who are not men tell you how to be a man, but they don't get knocked down like men. They don't get knocked down like that. They don't get knocked down like men on that journey to manhood. They don't. Who? Right. They teach you about loss very early. That's one of the things they teach you about, loss. Yeah, you got to be battle tested, Bucket. I remember my dad telling me anybody can win. Anybody can win. Winning is easy. When you learn how to win, but you don't learn by winning. He said, but when you lose, you got to learn how to lose. Because see, a lot of people can't take a loss. And to be great at something, you're going to have to take losses at it. Now, you might not take losses in the actual act, but you're going to take losses as far as somebody's going to do something to you that you're going to lose. You're going to lose a mental battle. You're going to lose a sparring match. You're going to lose something. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be number one all the time. Somebody's gonna outnumber one you at some point. Right. Exactly, Marcus. You'll never know. And a lot of times, this is where people test you. Let's see how strong you are. Let's see what you really made of. And sometimes people don't realize, a lot of times people aren't testing your physicality, they're testing your mental strength. And this is one of the things about if you're mentally strong, and adults do this, and it messes with certain people. When adults see you as mentally strong, because you can be a man child. It's not often, but you can be a man child. Uh-oh. You know it, Roger. But I'm not a good person for that. You could be a man child, and people don't realize this because few people go through it. When you're a man child, people don't see you as a child anymore. A lot of black men understand this more than other men, because we're viewed as bigger and older and stronger and more dangerous than any other group, just by people's mental, whatever, imagination. But when you're viewed as a man child, people put extra on your plate that you might not be emotional, mentally and emotionally ready to handle. All right, what's happening? Now I know if they're gonna believe it, they believe it. They don't, they don't. You know how it is. Because when somebody says, okay, this person is more mature for their age, now you put them in more mature situations that they don't necessarily need to be in. Because sometimes we on the journey to manhood, sometimes people take you in deep water prematurely to see if you can handle it. And sometimes you pass the test earlier than most. And sometimes you fail. And this is the thing. If you pass the test, cool, appreciate it, DC. If you pass the test, you feel proud of yourself. Sometimes when we pass the test early, our egos get up. Oh, I could do anything. Like, hey, slow down, player. Slow down. Now I remember being a young man and always saying ain't nothing to fear but fear itself. I used to jump off of 2- and 3-story structures, because anybody who ever been to Chicago, they got these 2- and 3-story, most of 3 stories, where they have, it's built like a straight up 3-story house, just straight up and down, but it's actually basically 3 apartments in this one structure. But on the back of it, they have, it's a brick structure, but on the back of the structure is just wooden steps to go from one floor to the next. So the second and third floor has wooden steps. Sometimes it's like a basement and 2 stories up, and sometimes it's just 3 stories up. My stupid ass used to jump from these things. Ain't nothing to feel but fear itself. I'm glad I still got knees, boy. Jesus Christ, I was stupid. But the confidence of I could do anything. You need that belief in yourself that you can do anything. But in the journey to manhood, you have to test if you can do those things. See, you can, and some of us know this, you can believe you could do anything, but can you do anything under adversity though? See, if everything is optimal, you can do anything, but you might have to do anything with everything isn't so optimal. Might be a bad day. Might be a bad month, might be a bad year. You got to believe you can do it even though. Oh man, them garages. These are the things that we don't understand sometimes, because when people say, it's that testosterone kicking in, you feel like you're young and invincible. You feel like you could do anything, but you're testing your limits. But you're only testing your limits with people in your group. So you start learning how to test your limits when you go above your group. Let me go with the big boys. That's when it starts happening. Now, let me get a little bit more in depth. So the thing about Ray Lewis and his granddad was, his granddad used to tell him, when you figure out why I smoke cigars, you're gonna understand manhood. And Ray said basically he couldn't understand it. And he bought his granddad a boat and a truck, and they went fishing. He took him to the mall. He spoiled his granddad. He just went all out for his granddad. 3 days later, his granddad died. And one of his friends told him to come just to a spot, smoke a cigar, basically. And he said, he sat back and he took 3 puffs. And on the 3rd puff, he started crying. And he said at that point, he understood it. And what he basically was saying was, when he sat back and relaxed, he understood that everything that his grandfather had taught him, he could sit there and relax and recollect and roll through manhood because he needed that moment. And this is what I mean by, seriously, the interesting journey to manhood is men do things to relax themselves because life is different for us. And men start, when you become a man, you understand that you're going to need a break. See, everybody else takes longer breaks of relaxation than you. You might get a smoke break. You might get I want to sit down and have a drink and just chill out. Your meditation is on a shorter leash than pretty much everybody else in society. So the journey to manhood is you're building up yourself from a young man to a grown man to have the energy, the strength, the intestinal fortitude, the mentality to be able to produce in every condition, in every circumstances, irregardless of how you feel and what you think. Must have been hands when I was thrown there. Nah, I was on the west. I was on that west. I was, the crazy part about that is when we see guys do things, we think it's dysfunction. And I used to think that, guys would sit there, oh man, these guys just sitting here drinking beers, or these guys going fishing. These guys don't do nothing. But the irony of that journey is when you start to become a man, you start to realize how much work men actually put in. Because from the outside, they're saying men don't do nothing. People are saying, oh, this guy really don't do nothing. He just come around and buy some sneakers. He just there when he needs some money. But nobody sees the effort that's put into the money, because when you're a young boy, you're just going to school. When you get in college, you're starting to realize you're just going to school. And this is where it kicks in, where I remember from the high school to college age, the anxiety that young boys had from that teenage year to knowing I'm about to become a man. Because some people had all the lessons that they were told and showed, but just to have to do them on your own now, they were nervous. Can I do this on my own? And that was part of the journey, because now you got to prove to yourself that you can stand on your own 2 feet. And you're watching other people don't have to stand on their own 2 feet. But to be a man, you got to stand on your own 2 feet. And then once you stand on your own 2 feet, now you got to start walking. Once you start walking, now you got to start running. Once you start running, jogging, then running. Once you start running, now you got to start driving. Once you start driving, now you got to start flying. And it's like, wait a minute. This is taxing, yo. This is taxing. Because the funniest thing about it is, becoming a father, the journey is, I remember me and my son went to what was that? What is that called? Boot camp. A boot camp. It was a workout boot camp. And my son he was working out next to me, and he was like, you can't keep up, old man. You can't keep up, old man. And I was looking at him like, oh, really? So he's thinking, I'm young. I got all this energy. So I do him like, any other father would. I just outwork him and just look at it. You done? Damn, kid, you done? That's it? Oh, you tired? You tired? And my son's like, wait a minute, Dad. Hold on. What you mean? I'm too old. Look, I'm too old for you to just let me win. I'm an old man, kid. Like, what are you doing? Come on. 1, 2. Look, I'm on 476. What you doing? And I remember being that kid. Like, these old people can't keep up. And then I'm looking like, fuck. This old man didn't drop the engine, cut the grass, went to work, went run errands for the family, paid bills. You know what I'm saying? It went on a grocery run. Now he came back home, and he's still out working me. And he's still in his work boots. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was. What's up, Rod? Don't worry, let that anxiety go, Mr. Ilmore. Let that anxiety go. Because I'm gonna tell you, the best, I think truth be told, probably the best lesson I learned into manhood was that when stuff gets hard for you, that's when it's about to get easy. And I think, a lot of us have, that's part of the anxiety, because you don't know if you're going to be able to do it. You don't know if you're going to be able to make it. But the harder something gets, it's about to get easy for you, because you're going to break whatever you're going at before it breaks you. That's just a natural thing in life. I feel you on that, Rex. Aubrey, what's happening? You gonna break? That's just like if you was hitting a rock with a hammer, a big one. It's gonna wear you out, but you gonna see a crack in that rock before you get cracked. You gonna see that rock break before you break, and it's gonna get harder and harder. But once you see that little crack, now it's like, okay, I got it done. I'm on it. I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? I knew it. I knew I was doing the right thing. It's that's the part of the anxiety that a lot of people don't get over. Because I remember people used to say, don't get nervous, don't get nervous. Don't get scared. Don't believe it. When you're putting yourself out there, you're gonna get nervous. You're gonna get scared. The issue is, how do you redirect that nervousness and that scaredness into actual usable energy? You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, MB. Like that's where we at with it. Thank you, fam. Exactly. Because to this day, we think of, they always told us to work and provide and make money, right? But in the journey to manhood, in all seriousness, is a journey to understand God. Because in a spiritual sense, not in a religious sense, with the word, we say the life is created, right? And you think about the Bible, I think, therefore I am, right? The journey to manhood is when you see yourself today as a man, as when you see yourself in the future as a better man than you are today, and then you begin to put in the work to be that man. That's the interesting part of the journey, because you're going to create the man that you are. It's not just you wasn't born that. Travaris, thanks, man. I'm so messed up this morning, but you can control it. Yeah, you can control the energy and let the energy control you. Because when you say, it's like body sculpting. I want to be this kind of man. Now you put it in the work, and you wind up being that kind of man in due time. Now you're this type. Now you want to be this smart. You put in the work, and you read, and you do the work, and you become this kind of. Your intellect grows in this way, and now you become that very man that you saw yourself having the capacity and capability of being. I learned that in sports, and I learned that in art, ironically, because the best thing about art, like just writing songs, because I think creativity, creation is the same thing. Foresight, forethought, being able to see the future is the same thing. And that's what I mean by God. Like, do you understand God? Because when you create something, You create something in your mind that nobody sees yet. You're creating something that's in you that you make tangible. And when you make something intangible tangible, and you start that process, it makes you understand what it takes, how much it takes out of you to do that, because it takes a far more energy and work to create something that doesn't exist than to live in to live in the things that already exist. And you start looking around you, and people don't, they really don't think about it. But when you're a kid, they teach you that in arts and crafts if you pay attention. When you're in sports, they teach you that, oh, to be this type of player, you got to do this type of things to get to that phase. And people are like, oh, and you see people and you idolize people, and you think people are better than you, and you want to be better than them. And then you put in that work and you become something completely different. You become a whole nother animal. And that's the interesting journey, because once you own it, a lot of times you don't see it. What's up, George? You don't see your growth. You don't see what you have become. And I mean in a good way. This is why I was talking about the cigar thing, because a lot of times, when you become on a journey to manhood, when you become a man, you don't really stop to smell the roses to know how far you've came as a man. You don't look back and say, damn, I was this young, this size, this intellect, and now look at me now. Like, I came light years away from what I was. These were my abilities at this phase in life, and now these are my abilities. I don't even realize I've done so much. The journey becomes interesting. Yeah, Ronan. Whew. Oh man. This is where we at with stuff. Eastbound, what you got, fam? My bad. Oh man, Eastbound. Man, I'm glad you can send it to him. Justin, what's happening? And what's going on? Because one of the craziest things was, a lot of times the journey is a selfless journey, that when you succeeded, you learn how to be selfish. See, you don't when you're on a journey to manhood, it's a constant grind to become that. And then when you become that, you want everybody else, to benefit off of what you become. And then when everybody else benefits, then you can live off the spoils of your works and your labor. And it's different because people don't look at it. They look at it, as Chris Rock would say, the man get the big piece of chicken, right? But that man get the big piece of chicken not just because he needs more energy. It's because he's feeding you far more than the big piece of chicken. When you on that journey, people are eating from your table or your plate, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically. You have to have more on your plate than everybody in your immediate circle. And you can't fall or falter. You can't be shaken. You can't be nervous. And that was a lesson going back that I learned when I wound up having to play quarterback is, if you a leader, you can't be stressed out. Everybody follows your lead. And ironically, there are people, if you've ever been in a leadership position, oh man, I got to wash my car too, Paul. Yeah, you beat me to it. A lot of times people don't realize when you're a leader, You're going to have insubordinate people around you. But here's the truth, the thing about a good leader. An insubordinate person at worst could destroy a good leader. But that with that insubordinate person is going to destroy themselves also. Because everybody is going to remember everything that leader was capable of doing, that everybody benefited from. Because dad may eat the most at the table, but dad makes sure you eat every day, multiple times a day. It's not when dad comes to eat at the table, that might be his only meal that day. You might have been eating all day long. And I'm using the food as a reference, but it's a whole thing. On that journey, I learned that what winds up happening is, what's up, Falcon? How you been? On that journey, I wound up realizing why people say when the men are proud of you, it makes it more important. Because when men say you're doing a good job, it's not just the job that they're talking about. They're not talking about you doing a good job at this. They seen that you did a good job at life. And they know what it takes to get from where you started to doing a good job at life. Because doing a good job at life is probably the hardest thing to do when you're living. Because life can take you on so many tossed and turns that break people. And when you're a man and on that journey to becoming one, sometimes you have to carry broken people even when you're broken. And you can't let you can't let people know you broken. You can be hurt. You can have a heavy heart. And your hurt and heavy heart can be far more than what broke them. But you have to carry them. Like the prayer with that's not serenity prayer, but that other, the footsteps story with Jesus, when he's like, God, at these points in my life, they're not two footprints in the sand. And God says, man, because those are the points that I carried you. See, that's the interesting part about manhood. You become the God that carries people. You become the Jesus that carries people. What's up, I am Alpha? You become that. And it makes you go back to when you were younger, why people were making you so strong, why people were so hard on you, why people, would let you deal with struggle and strife and adversity and heartbreak and backstab. Why they would let you deal with all the most negative things in life, and it didn't harden your heart, but it hardened your ability to quit. Because you can't quit. When you quit, everything falls. When a king dies, the whole kingdom dies. And this is where, it becomes interesting, because people don't understand the responsibility of it. People don't understand the weight of it. And ironically, people don't understand the humor of it, because a lot of times along the journey, men come into your life and teach you how to systematically build things up and how to swiftly destroy things. And they teach you these two different things, and it's a lesson. Man. Right. Oh man. My bad. I owe you some rent on that, player. I hear you, KT. That is hilarious. But they teach you how to systematically destroy things. Why do they do that? See, to be a protector, and I think, they teach you to be a provider. This is why a lot of people don't get the duality of this. When they say they want a man to be a provider and a protector, the duality of that is, to provide, you're a builder. to protect, you destroy it. You know, that's the interesting thing about being a man, the duality of I am a builder and I am a destroyer. And what men teach other men is how to navigate those things. Because you need to be a builder far more than you need to be a destroyer. But when you become a destroyer, you make sure you destroy everything. And it ain't just stuff. You got to destroy people's will. And that's a very cold thing to do. And a lot of guys know what I'm talking about. When you ever knock the will out of somebody's eyes, you ever beat the will out of somebody's spirit. And sometimes when you're a young man, it gets knocked out of your eyes and it gets knocked out of your spirit, and then you realize that's never gonna happen to me again. That's part of when young men test grown men, or we have these men competing. We're trying to see how tough are you spiritually, not physically, but spiritually. You know, because I remember my granddad you said this, and I wound up hearing in the movies. You know, the military teaches you how to kill. They don't teach you how to shut it off. And this is about being a protector. We teach each other how to be destroyers. We don't teach you how to shut it off. So then so now I teach you. The reason you're a builder is because you can't. It's easy to turn on the inner killer in you. So you turn on the inner killer in you to have the energy to constantly be a builder. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I ain't gonna start no church. Marcus, what's happening? Because all the energy that we use to build things is it's fueled from the energy that we want to just break everything in half. Even, you know, and sometimes ladies don't understand this. Even with some of us, our love comes from our destructive part of us that's a protector. And what I mean by that is, I know what's out there in the world. I know what this world could do to you because they put me on the front lines to see. So I'm going to love you enough to build so much around you that you don't have to go all the places I had to go. Because if you got to go all the places that I had to go, I'm not too sure if you're going to come back. Because everybody ain't going to make that journey. L.A.R, what's happening? Man, we're gonna learn at some point. We're gonna learn at some point, player. Because it's all the thing about it is, a lot of us wound up being like a lot. I remember when and this is happening now even with my son. We teach young men and women to be skeptical and despise and disrespect and dislike men. And they become the men that they hate. And realize the men that they become are really benevolent men. Because then they realize how much that man could have did to you because of your disrespect. How much that man could have destroyed everything around you. And that man every day kept pushing and kept moving and made sure you had a roof over your head. Made sure you had food in your stomach. Made sure you had shoes on your feet. And beyond that, made sure you understood that life ain't sweet. Because they could have snatched it away from you immediately. That was the thing about when 50 Cent was cracking up about. He said on Father's Day, they pull out a tool set. Go build something. On Mother's Day, they want diamonds. Like, men like diamonds too. He said, dang. And that's part of the issue is men don't deserve diamonds until men build castles. But the thing about it is, men make jewelry. So if you catch what I'm saying in that reference is, men don't deserve the diamonds until they make the castles, but they go to other men for the jewelry because the men are making jewelry because they know there are men out there who worked for it and earned it. See, the jewelry and the jewels in life that these men gift other people, they're gifting you their jewelry. They're not giving you your jewelry. They've earned that. They've earned it. Yeah, men mine the diamonds, men make the jewelry. Men start to, on that journey, you realize what's valuable, who's valuable, why loyalty is valuable. And sometimes people take things for granted because on that journey, you realize some of the most loyal people in your life, some of the most respectful people in your life are the ones that tested you the most. Because they didn't test you because they hated you. They tested you because they wanted you to be great. Don't think. It's a reason why Tom Brady and Bill Belichick stayed together so long. Yeah, they might not have got along, but they got results because they made Bill Belichick made Tom Brady great by being on him the way he was. He just don't need him to be on him no more. I got it, coach, but that's what Bill Belichick is there for, to make you better than what you are today. Sometimes people, they think men are hard to be around because men constantly we're gonna squeeze all the greatness out of you if you're not gonna get it. Because contrary to popular belief, what's up, Dion? Contrary to popular belief, it's hard. Nobody, no man ever has been self-motivated for a lifetime. It's hard to talk yourself up every day. There comes a point where you run out of things you can talk yourself up about. You can't do it no more. You can get up and go through the routine, but you can't get yourself on 10 like that every day. That's a work to itself. Because people don't realize you gotta, to do great things, to pull greatness out of you, you gotta dig. It's far more exhausting to pull the greatness out of you than it is to be great. Because the thing about greatness is greatness has a responsibility. Greatness means you can do this every day. So now you got to do it again. 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 This is why, and I hate to say this is why when America, we like sports heroes and this, that, and the third, and I ain't even gonna make it racial. This is why great athletes, great people in general, but I'm using sports as a reference. Great people are marginalized because they're great for a long period of time. Because when somebody's great for a long period of time, that you could do, you wasn't as great as you was yesterday. You wasn't as great as you was last year. Oh, you great again? Oh, you great. Can you top that other great performance? See, a person who just come in and hit and becomes great 1, 2, 3 times, oh, they can go a lifetime. Oh, you remember that time they did that? But a person who's great consistently, oh, no. Oh, no. They keep upping the bar. And this is what guys start to understand is you know how to this is how you know if you're a great man or not. When people never have enough, they're never satisfied with you. You're doing great things over and over again, but they never, that's good, that's all right, that's okay. You could have did this better, you could have did that better. And inside of you, you're gonna be the person when you start looking at yourself and say, I could be better. I could be better. Because when you start saying you could be better, you tone out the whole world. You don't care what the world says because they don't know what they're talking about. Because they're not in the mix like you in the mix. They're just not. They watching from the outside telling you how good you can be, but they ain't never been in the mix in the first place. That's why the part of manhood when you become a man is you're not going to listen to somebody who's not a man about manhood because they ain't never been in the mix. They're just a spectator. They don't know what it takes. They don't know the toll it takes. They don't know none of that. You know, yeah, man. Right. You're not challenged. You're right. You ain't challenged by average. This is where we at. Because people don't know the work it takes. They just don't. You know, and they think, you know, these guys, this is why you see going backwards. This is why you see guys take the breaks we do. You know, this is why you see guys, you know, into their toys, their cars, their what you know, golf, basketball, cigars, you know, beer, fishing, you know, sometimes shooting, whatever it is, because this is how they can enjoy their life. Because if I'm gonna be 100% honest right now, when you become a man, and in that journey to manhood, you give up a lot of yourself. A lot of people benefit from you being a man, and you don't benefit at first. You might not benefit in the middle. You might not benefit at all. I've had men in my life who've put their lives on the line for everybody around them, and everybody else around them benefited off of their work, but they didn't. That's why I say being a man is one of the most selfless things you could do. Like, you work, you put your blood, sweat, and tears in life to give it away to somebody, so they don't have to put as much blood, sweat, and tears into their life. This is when the Bible talks about, you know, generational wealth. They're talking about sacrifice. People don't understand. When you, the most respected black men in my life that I see are black men who old black men who got old jeans, old boots, and a pocket full of money. Got a truck, pocket full of money. You know why? They're living beneath their means on purpose to make sure that their family can live above their means. They purposely doing that. He purposely, no, he didn't buy that watch. He didn't go on that trip. He didn't go to that expensive restaurant. He can. He chose not to. The journey to manhood is when you realize I'm gonna live off of this little bit, and I'm gonna make sure they live off of that little bit, or that lot of bit. You know, and even beyond that, when you got enough, you don't even trust your own family to take care of their children. You take care. You know what? Let me get ahead of the curve and make sure they're taken care of, because, you know, this is what needs to happen. Somebody else needs to come along and do this. Yeah, but he just did that to be a nice guy. No, he didn't do that to be a nice guy. You know, that is, yeah, absolutely, Bishop. That is what love is. You know, that's like the part of the part of manhood is, you know, we love people so much. Like, that's what I meant by being God-like. God loved the world so much he gave his only begotten son. Men wind up learning you gotta love the world so much you give yourself. You give everything you've got. And sometimes we look at men who maybe retire early. You know, you got to understand something about that. When guys reach a pinnacle of success and they chill out, they put a lot into being able to chill out. They need that rest. You don't understand. Sometimes these men need that 10, 20, 30, 40 years of rest, even though you think they ain't doing nothing. That's not the case. They're doing stuff. They're just not doing what they used to do. You know, they're just not doing what they used to do. And they don't need to do it anymore. And what I mean by that is, this is how benevolent men are. There are a lot of men who are great men who've been eating, who've been feasting off of their own hard work and effort. They're great men. and they will walk away so that you can eat too. They ain't even full. They just satisfied. They ain't even full. They just satisfied. But you know what? Young blood, go have at it. Go have at it. I remember being just like you. I'm good. Go have at it. One of the dopest things, you know, true story. I was talking about my family member being in the NFL. There was another brother on the team with him. Classy, older cat. And good dude. He told the coaches, hey, sit me down. It's that young man time. This is his time now. I'm gonna sit on the bench and watch. He's not the only brother I've heard of a story like that. You know, I'm just using him as a reference. Because you got a lot of brothers who make sure you're gonna get ahead. If you listen to all these brothers, I don't care how high up the food chain are, or if they're in the middle of the food chain, or if they're at the bottom. There's always a brother that pulls them up from the middle, and a brother that pulls them up to the top. And there's a brother that's at the top that'll take a sit down and go to the middle just so they can get their shine on. And there's a brother in the middle who stays in the middle just to pull people up from the bottom. He could have been at the top. Sometimes he might have went visit him like it's nice. He might have never went. He might say, hey, I'm gonna get these people up here. You know what I'm saying? What's up? Thanks, fam. Thank you. Thank you. Oh man, I like that ride. I like that ride. Love muscle. Love muscle. You know. Right. It said, thank you, Bishop. You said, you know, this is what stops men from giving things away. When you don't want to work, then they be like, well, I'm gonna just sit here. I'm gonna just sit here then. I'm sit on the top then. Forget it. You don't want to put in the work. You know, this is where, you know, the rubber meets the road. There's a lot of brothers out here like that. It's a lot of brothers that can't wait for you to brother. There's a lot of men in manhood that want to see you win. They can't wait to see you win. And you know, and a lot of you know, and unfortunately, if you know, a lot of us talk about haters, but this is what I mean about when you become a man. This is how much of a real one you're gonna be. You're not even concerned about haters. You're concerned about making sure that next man wins. And when the camera get on him, you get the hell out of the screen. You don't even want to be in a screen for his moment. You don't want to be near the spotlight for his moment. You don't want to be near the stage for his moment. You just want to be somewhere back looking like, told you was going to get there. Told you was going to get there. This is why you hear these guys having these stories about, you know, going fishing with somebody, going to dinner with somebody, having a cigar with somebody, having a drink with somebody. You know what that is? That's when I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you got here. That's when they do that. When y'all think about these young men and these grown men who had these moments and they hugging their mama and they hugging the girlfriend, and you like, where the men at? The men don't want to be there. Think about that. You hardly ever seen the coaches there. You hardly ever seen sometimes you see the fathers there. And when you see it, the fathers are so happy for their son. They're not happy because their son made it. They're happy because their son's dream came true. They're not happy because, we gonna eat now. They happy because their son's dream came true. They sit back. I've seen so many brothers and there's so many brothers sitting there waiting on you to become successful so they can tell you, hey, listen, now that you're here, I've been waiting on you. Now that you're here, you need to watch out for this, and this. Now that you're here, I know you're gonna make these mistakes. I made these mistakes, but even with these mistakes, you got to do this, 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 and this. Now that you're here, understand this could propel you to another level, and this could ruin you. Now that you're here, and now that you're here, I'm gonna tell you, you're one of many people that sat in this chair, and I had this talk with. Some of them made it, some of them didn't. And now that you're here, this is what I'm gonna tell you to do: call the people that made it, and call the people that didn't, and let them tell you what it is. Because it's a lot of guys who are successful and a lot of guys who are unsuccessful. A lot of guys who made it, a lot of guys who blew it. These guys are all they're in close proximity. They're in 6 degrees of separation because even the guys who blew it want you to make it. This is part of the interesting journey of manhood. Even the guys that blew it want you to make it. And don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do this. Don't do that. Do this. Don't do that. Don't trust when somebody tells you this. Don't do it when somebody tells you this. That's why you don't see these guys having these conversations in public. When they say these guys are jerks, these guys are assholes and all that, some of them are jerks and assholes. Some of them are. Because that's the energy that they got to be on to be great on a regular basis. They can't take their foot off the gas of that. Because that's what's driving them. But even those jerks and assholes gonna sit you down. Say, hey. Contrary to popular belief, shout out and rest in peace to Kobe Bryant when they talk about Mamba mentality and they think about him and Michael Jordan. The reason why, and they ain't the only ones like that, they love when you get at them. They love for you to go for the throne. They love it. They're like, yeah. See, when men don't want you to just be afraid of me, so you'll never challenge me. These men will be like, hey, go ahead, challenge me. See where you at. Let me test me out. I'm gonna test you out. Let's see where you at. These guys love that. That's the best journey about being a man. Because in young boys and young men, and even sometimes grown men, that catches them off guard. They really get at somebody, and the guy like, oh, you brought everything. I appreciate that. That's much love for you. Respect you. The same person that'll cuss you out, I'll give you the biggest hug. The same person that'll swing on you and hit you in the chest and the neck. It's the same person afterwards. Boy, you what's up? You the truth. You the truth. That's the interesting job, because guys want you to be strong enough to deal with that, with the things that they had to deal with, because they want you to be on the top of the mountain too. See, when you think these men are sitting at the top of a mountain and they don't want you to, they looking down on you. Yeah, they looking down on you, wanting you to come up. They looking down on you. Yeah, make that move. Oh yeah, you're gonna get here. You on the way. You on the way. Keep coming. Keep coming. A lot of y'all think, use this ideology, people throwing stones at you while they on the top. They ain't throwing stones at you. They not. If you look at that little Jordan documentary, you know what bothered him about the Detroit Pistons? They threw a stone at him when he was going to the top. That's unforgivable for a man. Don't take my work that I earned and you take a crap on it because you a hater. You know what it took for me to get here. You know what it took for me to beat you. You know what it took for you to beat whoever it took for you to beat to get here. You know this ain't easy. So the minute you walk off like that, I don't respect you no more. And you'll never be a winner like that in life. That's part of the reason why they never won again. Not just the Bulls thing, it's the karma thing. This is why people tell guys, don't be a hater. Don't you dare be a hater, because haters don't win in life. And people think, oh man, there's a lot of haters, they made a lot of money. Yeah, there's a lot of haters, made a lot of money, and a lot of haters lost their money because they was haters. A lot of haters can't go nowhere because they haters. A lot of haters ain't well respected, and they stuck in life because they haters. The interesting journey to manhood is you see very successful men with very men who you would think are average and unsuccessful because they're men. They're proud of their man for being successful. And just like if a man made $10 million, he's hanging with a guy who might be worth $50,000. And you know what? He just as proud as him because you know what? He know what it took to get that $50,000. Because that same $50,000 guy, when he was on his journey to get 10 million, that same $50,000 guy had his back. If he needed a place to stay, it was that $50,000 guy that let him stay. It was that guy. It was the guy who I got room in my house. You need a car to get to where you're going? I got an extra car. I got you, brother. That's the same dude. That's the interesting journey of man. This is why men say don't disrespect no man, no matter how high, how low, because these guys have your back regardless of the situation. They always there for you. Yeah, he should never listen to, but Isaiah was the leader of the team. That's why it's on Isaiah. Bill wasn't the leader. Isaiah was the leader. He did that. It's on him. He know that. It ain't right, but he know that. Technically, it's better to be known for walking off the court than kissing Magic Johnson in at half court. See, that's the good thing, I guess. Sometimes the feeling isn't the bad thing. Man, let me, what? Yeah, man. Wayman, man, you on point. Man, you on point. Right, what's happening? This is where we at, man. Like, it's a very interesting journey of manhood. People don't realize, that's why I love it. I mean, I love being a man. Like, I love everything about it. Because there, ironically, even if I have excuses, I don't have excuses. One of the things I learned early was you can have an explanation, but not an excuse. Explanation makes a lot of sense. An excuse doesn't. And that's the great thing about life. That's the great thing about manhood. Sometimes, unbeknownst to even the women and children, sometimes men have to be great men to make other men great. Sometimes men have to drag other men into greatness, and they ride the coattails of other great men. And those men wanted you to ride those coattails. That's why they dragged you along. See, when guys don't talk to you, that's when they don't mess with you no more. When guys just walk away from you, that's when they don't have no love for you no more. Because they're not walking away from you. They're walking away from the principle that you don't want to do the principle things that's necessary to be a successful man. Can't deal with it. That's why, this is why guys don't like the selfishness and egos and this thing, because it's not for the greater good. But you know what I'm saying? Let me get out of here because I got to go jogging. I thank y'all brothers for rocking with me, man. Y'all have a blessed day. I got some work to do. Peace.